Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. NHL free agency started quite a while ago. And yet, there is one notable free agent who had not been signed yet, until today. Nazem Kadri has finally been signed, and to the team I predicted him to go to, the Calgary Flames. A couple of months ago, shortly before the start of NHL free agency, I made a video called Predicting Where the Top 20 NHL Free Agents Will Land. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And let's just say I did not do so well. In fact, I didn't even predict Kadri to go to the Flames. But as soon as Johnny Gaudreau was signed, I said that Nazem Kadri will probably go to Calgary and will probably be signed in the next 24 hours. Half of that statement was right, so that is good for my standards. But in all honesty, this makes so much sense for Calgary. After losing Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau, they could use a boost on that offense. Now, I will say, they did amazing on the Matthew Tkachuk trade, as I talked about in my Matthew Tkachuk trade video, which I'll leave a link to in the description. They managed to pull out Mackenzie Weegar, Jonathan Huberdeau, Cole Schwindt, a prospect, and a first-round pick, all for Matthew Tkachuk. I would argue that Jonathan Huberdeau alone is better than Matthew Tkachuk. But they kind of needed that, especially after losing Johnny Gaudreau for nothing. So now the Flames have somehow lost their two best players, and yet are still a Stanley Cup contender. I mean, if the Oilers lost Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, they would in no way be a Stanley Cup contender. I mean, it's possible you could make an amazing McDavid trade, but highly unlikely that you would ever be able to replace McDavid's production. So, good on the Flames, good on Brad Treliving for managing to keep this team in contention, despite the fact that they lost their two best players. I'll admit, this Calgary team is extremely fortunate because not only do they have a strong team, but they are in a weak division. Aside from Edmonton, there are no true standout teams in that division. It's wide open, so Calgary could easily take the second place spot just because of that. If they're in a different division, say the one with Tampa, they would not be in such a fortunate situation with so many competitive teams in that division. There's already 6 out of 8 teams. If you swap Calgary for one of the other teams, that would be 7 good teams in one division. Calgary would have no chance. But since they're in a weak division, then it's wide open for them. The one issue for the Flames is that since they signed Kadri, and earlier they re-signed Jonathan Huberdeau, they are in major cap issues. They already had to deal with Sean Monahan, along with a 2025 conditional first-round pick to the Montreal Canadiens for future considerations. That surprises me. I think they could have given a second-round pick or a third-round pick. Doesn't need to be conditional. This seems like a bit of a high price. Now, obviously, this is just a cap-dumping move. So they're basically paying Montreal to take on Sean Monahan. But I think they could have asked for a bit more and given a tiny bit less. Because a 2025 first-round pick seems like a lot. Now, obviously, 2025, as the years goes on, the value becomes less and less and less. Even still, it would have been smart to give a lesser pick, even if it would have had to have been a 2023 or 2024 pick. Because it's a first-round pick for future considerations, basically. It takes Sean Monahan out of the deal. And man, that is a terrible deal for Calgary. But keep in mind, on Montreal's side of things, Sean Monahan is coming off of a major injury, and it's not clear how he's going to perform. And before he got injured, he was having the worst season of his career. So he's not that great of a player to take on. from what it seems like. He could be great. And I think this was a good deal for Montreal because he could be great. They got a first-round pick, and he's not their old player. He could technically be on the roster a couple years' time. He can mentor some of the younger players. He's been to the playoffs. He knows what's up. So it makes so much sense for Montreal to do this deal. They got paid. They have cap space. This makes so much sense. Especially with the Carey Price news, which is that he might be retiring. Even if not, he's likely to miss the whole season on long-term injury reserve with a knee injury. So they have tons of cap space. It makes all the sense in the world for Montreal. But back to Calgary, it makes tons of sense for them to clear up, even if you have to give away a first-round pick. It's worth it to contend for a Stanley Cup. If you put it this way, it's Kadri and future considerations in exchange for a 2025 first-round pick and Sean Monahan. That's not half bad of a deal. So they are giving away their future young player in exchange for possibly a Stanley Cup. They're a Stanley Cup contender. So this is a good move on them. In all honesty, it's really nice to finally get some news in the sporting world after a long drought. Hopefully this news continues through the rest of the year. With the NFL season starting soon, then we should be fine. But it's possible that this was the only streak of news for quite a while, in which case we could be in trouble, and I'll have to scrape around to find new video subjects. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon.